to naturally.
We're not,
Just
it's way cheaper to build new stuff than to do this. I know governments can do it. Yeah, we can. But just think about the other directions.
Good question.
If we have, we need to.
Trees and so it's in Africa.
Okay, yeah,
All the second, they're all there.
yeah, I know, it's amazing.
I think it's been Star Trek.
Something of the sort.
Trevor is online because he's got quite the flu.
Okay.
Going on now,
Oh, yeah.
Pretty nasty.
COVID-25.
Yeah.
Okay, I will call this special meeting of Town of Gibsons Council to order on May 27th, 2025 at 12:33 p.m. I was the one who was 3 minutes late, and I apologize for that. And we're gathered today on the traditional territories of the Skokomish Nation. We need to, this should be a relatively quick meeting. We just have a contract award that must be done, considered by council today. So that's the need for the special meeting. First we need to approve the agenda. Moved by Councillor DeAndrade, seconded by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? The motion carries. We do have special council meeting minutes from May 13th, 2025 to adopt. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Lumley. All those in favor? The motion carries. And going straight to the contract award report for Skyline Drive water main replacement, I'll look to our Director of Infrastructure Services who's joining us online.
Thank you, and can you just confirm that you can hear me?
Yes.
Got a bit, okay. Thank you. I'll keep this brief, given I'm not feeling particularly great right now. The report is for the award of the contract to complete the water main construction and paving on Skyline Drive. We had 3 bids. One of them was stood out given the price and the overall quality of the submission. Hence, we're recommending the award of the contract to Macon to complete the water main upgrades and paving. And then in the recommendations, I provided 2 options. One would be to award the contract with contingency, the 25% for the water main construction, and then a larger contingency on the paving, which would allow the full road width restoration on all portions of the road that the construction would be happening in. So that total value is provided there at 2.176 million. The recommendation from infrastructure is to award a contract not to exceed the full budget amount. That would allow the greatest flexibility for staff to work with the contractor to potentially expand the scope of the replacement if we're able to get through the base scope, what's included in the contract. And there's still a remainder of, right now it's looking in the range of about $600,000. That would give us the opportunity to extend the water main replacement further along Skyline Drive. So that's the rationale. So the recommendation is to award a contract not to exceed the 2.74 million that we have budget for. But I'll turn it to council to discuss. Thank you.
Okay, I'll look to councillors for questions. I'll just ask about that, how we got to this place where all of Skyline Drive isn't covered, because it is a question we've all seen from at least one member of the public who's asked about that. So was this a challenge with rising costs? I mean, I know I've already communicated back that that's an ongoing challenge, and but obviously it's something. I guess the question, maybe to really boil down the question is, was that, did we anticipate doing all of Skyline Drive when we did maybe this might be a finance question, the AAP, and should we have? I don't know. Like, what was the rationale around not doing that and not borrowing to do it all at once? So I see our Director of Finance moving to a seat, but I'm going to go to Director of Infrastructure Services on that, so we can help answer that question to the public. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor White. That's thank you for bringing that up. So I think that was just perhaps an oversight in the preparation of the documentation for the AAP. The intention was always to complete the scope of work that's been presented as part of this.
Your volume's kind of cutting out now. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, my apologies. Can you hear me a little bit better now?
For some reason, the volume went way down. Was that on our end?
Let's see here. I haven't changed anything on my software.
There it goes.
You're back.
You're back. Yeah.
Okay. The intention, the scope has not changed from what was originally intended to be completed. Going back to the documentation, it could have been made more clear at the time of the AAP that this was the intended scope. The reason that this portion of Skyline has been is the intended and the associated side streets is due to the condition here. This is where we've experienced the most substantial water main leaks, or two substantial water main leaks over the last couple of years. There was also a leak on Allison Way in 2024, and the mains on Avalon Drive, Shoal Lookout have been identified in the strategic plan for our water system as being undersized. And so for the combination of condition and capacity has made this a priority area. Certainly the intention will be to replace the remainder of the water main on Skyline Drive and looking at the bluff in general in the coming years. Costs being what they are, we feel fortunate that we were able to complete this scope of work with the budget that we had available, just given the cost escalation. So if we had, unlimited budget, certainly we would be replacing it all, but we've had to focus on the highest priority area just due to condition and capacity.
Okay, thanks. That helps for sure to be able to relate that these were actually the areas that needed it most with the failings of the system, the leaks. So, any more questions from council? Councillor Lumley?
Yeah, through the mayor. I guess, yeah, we do hear from, well, I've heard from two people that live in the area that aren't, I also live up there. Ex-vice principal of the high school also lives up there as well. And it would, former, what did I say, ex?
I didn't hear the X part.
Yeah, maybe your hearing's going. I heard Trevor perfectly. Yeah. Okay.
It's just like what we were
Well,
doing online.
so my question, costs are not going to go down. So it would be interesting to know what the cost, and they're going to be up there working. And I understand the budget limitations and stuff like that. Do we have an idea what it would be to do that section of Skyline? Do we have an idea of the cost of that? And would it be worth exploring pushing something into next year's budget or doing something? Or I don't know if there's ways where even the I guess you can't ask the people to pay and then pay them back, or I don't know. I'm just, my mind's kind of racing to say, okay, even though it's not part of the AAP or this contract, what would the cost be? And, are there alternatives to trying completing it while it's being done and everybody's up there digging and burying pipes and stuff? It just seems to be an opportunity lost in so many ways, so.
I guess what I heard from the report is that the opportunity isn't completely lost yet. There is hopefully we're trying to, this recommendation is to have hopefully some leeway in the budget to do more. But, that leads me, it's a good question. Is there, could there be leeway to do all of it even, is that, because I don't know, I don't understand if that's, I haven't seen a map or anything, so, are we looking at maybe hopefully having a little bit of financial cushion to do a little bit more, or is there potential in initial estimates and maybe even be able to do the whole thing? As Councillor Lumley's asking, do we know how much it will cost in general?
I can
Okay.
take that one.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you. So through the mayor, and this is quite approximate. I just measured it off. It appears that what we're proposing to complete is about half of the extent of water main replacement that's likely required on the bluff. So we could anticipate needing in the range of $5 to $6 million to complete the full replacement on the bluff. And certainly we would not be able to complete that just as far as the time requirement to do all the work before the cold season in the fall. So we'll be able to complete this scope before the paving crews start to kind of shut down for winter operation. We wouldn't be able to complete double the volume. Now, as far as how we would fund that, part of the rationale was, again, to try to identify the highest priority area and then working within the debt servicing capacity that the town has and not overextending our debt load to complete this work as it was funded through the AAP. So the Director of Finance may have more to say on that, but really we were kind of limited in what we were comfortable with proceeding in terms of taking on debt for the water function for the town finances in general, and have identified the highest priority area. Maybe just one comment back to the Complete Communities Grant assessment report that was presented to committee last week. It did identify the bluff as a potential area that could see some redevelopment through their analysis, and there's potential opportunities to try to leverage that report for some future grant funding, which may be an option for some replacement along the bluff there. So we may have some other means to try to fund the rest of this.
Okay, thanks for that answer. And I mean, that was something I learned from that answer too, is that we're actually talking about, like, this is only half. So looking at the other half, and that even that this half is going to take virtually the entire season, construction season, the rest of Skyline would probably be packaged in with more of the bluff. So there would be a kind of economy of scale and time in the future, still potential. It doesn't have to be like this is our only shot to do it all in one. There's no way of doing all the bluff at once. This would be a case of maybe doing it in a couple segments, but not just a tiny segment of Skyline. And we're actually talking about it could be packaged with more. Director of Finance, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, please, Mayor White. I just wanted to note that some of the other bids were much more expensive. So it's very fortunate that there's turned out to be money available in the budget. A lot of that money, in fact, pretty much all of it, is through debt. And on the debt, the voters agreed to be doing work on Skyline. So it's great that it's possible to extend the existing project to use up the rest of the money. And with any luck, hopefully, as part of this run in this season, although that's not certain because there's additional engineering to do before you can do another section or piece of it. That is a great recommendation for moving forward. And then the final point is, hey, there is some water reserve money. The town does have some other sources of money that aren't committed or could be reprioritized. So it's always possible for infrastructure based on how things unfold to come back and say, hang on a second, we need to change things around and propose, can we obtain this amount of money from what we have in order to take advantage of contractors already being there. Thank you.
Councillor Lumley?
Yes, thank you, through the mayor. Yeah, it's just, for me, it's just a matter of, I guess, letting people know that it's on the radar. It's just like, we're not done doing the water main and connections up there, and that, hey, listen, this is what we can afford at this point. And, you know, I'm not sure, but if more debt has to fall off the board before you do the other section, and, or the Director of Infrastructure said maybe some grant funding, but I mean, I guess as long as the people know that, because like, when you look at the map, it's like one house over, like, doesn't have it, and, you know, their neighbor does, so, you know, and I think people just like to know that it's they're not being left out, they're just being, they're they're next. So I guess that was what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also, just on that communications piece, I think it's also been instructive to us that when we do start these projects, we probably should, we probably just assume that, okay, it's general, this is water main replacement, it benefits the town, it's pretty basic, but it does actually matter to people, like exactly where the line is and where it stops, as you mentioned, Councillor Lumley. So we should probably do a better job of sharing that, like in a map, when we start these processes. So I think we've learned from that. I see two hands up from staff. I'll go to the Director of Finance. He's in person.
I just wanted to observe that this is the first large project I've seen since COVID-19 that actually isn't coming back for more money in order to sign the contract to proceed. It's the very first one in a very long time. Thank you.
That's important to note. Director of Infrastructure Services.
Thank you. Just to add to the Director of Finance's comment, I was going to make the same observation. This is very fortunate territory to be in, I'll say. And quick back of the envelope calculation, there's the potential that if we project the cost per meter that we've received for the base scope, that it could extend to our Arbutus Reach, but there's certainly some areas that we'll have to get through before we are in a position where we could kind of commit to getting the engineering done to proceed with that. There's a portion of the work that could lead to some unexpected costs just due to soil conditions, which we need to kind of get through before we're able to have a sense of how much contingency we'll have at the end. If it's a matter of finding an extra $150,000 to extend that to that intersection, I think between myself and the Director of Finance, we'll be able to find something like that. But another $1 million to keep going down the hill would not really be in the cards.
Councillor D'Andrade.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a curiosity, the rest of the bluff that is not here, is it also priority 2, or the priority is way lower?
I'm going to venture that we don't really know that yet, because I haven't seen it on the capital plan. I think, I mean, what I'm hearing from staff is that's going to be more of the more assessment will be required to kind of figure out, and it does sound like this first segment was dictated largely by need, and the other segment wasn't identified as such high need. So the logic to me, no, I'll go to staff, but the logic to me is, I mean, our next decision is going to have to be still based on need largely, and so this may not be the number one. It may be somewhere else in town where we're noticing degradation of the system. Infrastructure Services.
Thank you. So through the mayor, I don't have the water strategic plan in front of me to be able to confirm the capacity or condition ranking for the rest of the bluff. I do believe that the section along Skyline it would be the same capacity rating. I'm not sure about the side streets, whether they're it depends on the size and how many properties are being serviced from it, whether or not they would flag as a capacity issue or condition. We did observe, and the reason that this became the priority for replacement, not just because of the ranking within the strategic plan, but it's also just due to observed we had two pretty substantial leaks that happened within about 6 months of each other, 6 months or a year, and that is what triggered the need to replace it sooner than later. But we would certainly, in the future, be presenting our water main replacement program will be based off of a combination of the recommendations from that strategic plan as well as observations in the field.
Okay, Councillor Kroll.
Thank you, Mayor White. And it's sort of to what Councillor Lumley was referring to about the communication piece, and the comment of the Director of Finance that this is the first sort of major project. We've been sort of chasing this project as long as I've been on council, and it's been really challenging because the scope of the work has kept changing. The challenges with meeting the scope of the work has kept accelerating. So I think, now we're sort of, as it were, have potentially a shovel in the ground. I think, keeping communication active into what we're intending to do is critically important to the residents because, as Councillor Lumley said, when one person has it and 10 feet away, the other person doesn't, it's difficult, and dealing with potholes that wake them up at night or whatever, it's just one of those sort of annoying little things.
I still think, as we've been doing all along too, we do have to remind people that our number one concern here is the water mains and their condition and replacing those. And I know their number one concern is the paving, but we have to remind them of that. And that's just a whole town-wide communications. Those are our priorities. I think we need a mover for the recommendation? Moved by Councillor DeAndrade, seconded by Councillor Kroll. Any more discussion on the motion, which is so there are options in the staff report that aren't on my front page, so can we just make sure can I just confirm what option it is? Oh, it is only one option. Okay, well, I guess it could have been on here. So the recommended option is what councillors are putting forward here. I've got that confirmed. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? The motion carries. And this was the one item we were focusing on at this meeting. So the next regular council meeting is June 3rd, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Kroll, seconded by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? The motion carries. Thanks, Trevor. Hope you're feeling better.